All right, guys, welcome to episode 4 of Shido-Finance and Chill. Tonight we have a special guest with us. We have Moneybags Rico, who's joining us tonight. Moneybags, go ahead and unmute that mic if you like to, and we'll get this party started.
Absolutely. Hopefully you guys can hear me well. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about this tonight. Been rocking hard with you guys. The Shido family showed me a lot of love, and I appreciate the support and you inviting me on the channel, bro. It's pretty epic. So I'm pretty excited about this.
Yeah, man, I'm glad to have you, bro. So we're going to start tonight off. Arno will be joining us here shortly. He is getting himself situated, so as soon as he is ready, we'll, of course, bring him live right in the stream. But I wanted to kick tonight off, man. I want to kind of talk about Rico momentarily. So when I first met this individual and ran across him, actually, it was a very, I apologize for Telegram. It's going to be all night through this, guys. I will do my best to mute it. It was a very in-depth analysis of Shido and TA, and I was blown away. I was like, man, dude, like this guy, not only does he know his stuff, but he's tracking the right aspects, he's looking at the right analytics, and he's charting exactly what's happening. So I really felt it was important to get him on this live, get him out there in front of the Shido community, and let this guy do what he does best, which is TA. So with that, I'm gonna blow up my screen, I'm gonna mute myself, and Rico, you got the stage, brother. So let's talk some TA.
Yeah, thank you, bro. So, it's pretty epic. I appreciate all the compliments, bro. It's pretty epic, and all, like I said, all the support from the community. But a lot of this has to do with some of the things we talked about in the Telegram, and the community actually being responsible on certain things, and just we can kind of see the way the chart is going. And what's kind of epic about this chart, and I got to give absolutely the majority of the credit to the community, is they actually followed exactly how we were showing on that chart. And that's community strength, because if community members don't hold, if people don't take profits responsibly, obviously none of this that me and Bahala is talking about is financial advice. We're having a good time with each other, and there's nothing wrong with spilling some knowledge on some things that maybe people are not familiar with, some things that I learned over time. So we'll go ahead, and if you guys watched the last video, I appreciate it. If you guys can, before we get started, make sure that's like button is smashed for Valhalla. Leave a bullish comment down below, help the YouTube algorithm, and make sure you guys subscribe to his channel. Putting out some great content for Shido. All right, with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. We got on the daily chart, and we're going to go ahead and work the time frames down, kind of like how I did in the video if you guys watched it. And the reason we're going to do this is it's pretty exciting if you're part of the Shido family. If you guys are watching this live stream or even watching it later on, I gotta say what's exciting is that we actually went exactly to that pattern that we talked about in the video. Of course, that's not because I have a crystal ball. That's not because I'm any better than anybody else. It's just that we're going to be using natural supports and resistance. History tends to repeat itself. What goes up must come down. What goes down must go up. What is just leaving just showed up, and what just showed up is now leaving. So these are things that tend to happen, and if you pay attention to these patterns, that is something that will eventually, you can say, give you an edge when you're looking at these charts and, you know, doing your technical analysis. And, you know, you guys can mix that in with some fundamental analysis, and you guys see all the developments that Shido has for a community. It can be very easy to get bullish on a project, you know, when you start to add some of the fundamentals and some of the developments that the team and, you know, the devs are doing behind the scenes. And not only the devs, but also, you know, basically Valhalla and the main dev, and doing these Twitter spaces, tapping in with all these different communities. All that exposure is very important, and also keeping a healthy chart. And as we continue to start to layer this chart, we can see that before we had broke up to this, right? I had made the video. We were down here in this zone. I said, you know, this is that support. This was the resistance. We needed to find that support again, which we held that support. And then almost identical to what I drew. And of course, this is, you know, DeFi. It's not always going to be perfect, even when you're doing stocks or whatnot like that. But we can see that upwards pattern coming back down to go right back up. And we can see that, you know, not so perfect squiggly line that I put right there, because obviously I'm in the moment in the video and just kind of, you know, going through it, but showing you, give or take, what it's going to look like when you start to see these things start to play out as you're, you know, playing out in these trades. So let's go ahead and zoom out of this a little bit so we can see how that really played out. And then we'll look at the overall and see exactly what's happening. But I just wanted to show you guys that even though that squiggly line, if we want to call it that, is not exactly perfect, we can see that the reason we respected that and the reason this is bullish is because this was a resistance. Notice in the past, remember, we're going to be talking about the past and how it's playing into the future. We got these supports. When we lost that support right here, we had to find a new support. That turned into a resistance. Remember, it's gonna be like the infinity sign. What just came is now leaving. What just left is now showing up. And this is what we have right here. We found that support, and then what we're gonna have right now that we're gonna add to this chart. Let's get rid of the squiggly line because we saw it play out. You guys saw in the last video, none of these candles were above this resistance level. We're still within this channel, and now look, it played out. So now we can erase that and be transparent with everybody. So as the videos continue, you guys, you know, are tapped in with Valhalla, and we keep doing these videos to make sure we keep you guys informed. You know, we can just keep the progress together. So now what we're going to do is notice what happened and what kind of changed and what makes me, you know, what kind of indicates a bullish pattern starting to happen, right? So we got that resistance right before we had that breakout that we had that squiggly line for. But the minute the squiggly line came out, you know, that it went up and it came back down, we made a support. And that right there is an indication for a lot of traders. And that's why we have that push up, because people can't help themselves but respect these traders. All they're doing basically are trying to have self-fulfilled prophecies. You know, I joked about the crystal ball. That's why you heard me talk about it and being able to look into the future, because all we're trying to do is say, okay, if this does that and then comes back down, then that lets me know when it goes back up that now we're above this prior resistance, right? Because we got rejected here, we got rejected here. But we know that if we can hold support here, what happens when we hold support right here? We might have an up and down, but then check out what happens, a breakout to the top side. So these are all things that are potentials. Even from right here, when we held that same support, give or take, we rocked all the way up to the prices of 98.08. Of course, that's with the help of the community, you know, the support. And if we start to layer the chart, we see the support right here. We're going to start to see the consolidation, meaning, you know, that holders are holding even longer and starting to say that we're not going to go underneath the 63.25. And we do that by layering the chart. Okay. So we identified that now we got that support. If you guys are just joining us, I hope you guys are enjoying this. Please smash the like button for Valhalla. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. We'll definitely do this a lot more and stuff. So let's go ahead and layer this up really quick and start to see what's happening with the chart. You know, now we start to see, you know, that, okay, we're consolidating and now we're holding above, you know, we're identifying the support first. And we'll get into this resistance second that we can see obviously right here and right here, but we'll get into that in a second. Let's identify the support level that we're holding on to and being true. You know, the community is being true to this. And also people, we've seen a lot of new buys coming in. You know, we'll keep dropping videos, and also all those AMAs, those Twitter spaces that the dev is holding, that the community is chiming in, the Valhalla's chiming in. All those things help so much, especially when you mix into fundamentals and what Shido is going to start to bring to the table. I know the wallet's out for Android. I'm waiting for the wallet to come out on iOS because I have iPhone. But the minute it does, and I do a test on it, best believe I'll do a video on that as well. So we went all the way down to the 5-minute chart. We can basically identify that we're consolidating to the right. So I would, me personally, would like to zoom back out and just try to see this new channel that we're in, so we can kind of set up our new goals of what we're going to be looking for. And quite honestly, because it's DeFi and we know that crypto's volatile, the prior ones, the price went all the way up to 98.08. And why is that significant, right? We had that double tap over here because that's a psychological barrier, and things are going to tend to happen, not because I say so, just because the whole collective, everybody said so. So this right here, this double tap lets us know what something that we can expect, but also as a community, maybe a buy contest. I'm not trying to put the dev or anybody on the spot, but when we get closer to this area, we start to apply some pressure and we break through this psychological barrier. And we do that same squiggly line that, I drew before, and we do that again, but on this level up here, above this one being erased, and then coming back down and going back up. So let's see that. Let's do that one more time. Let's do that one more time. Right. So, that same design that we drew before, for whatever reason, does not want to draw right now. Maybe because I'm on a live stream. Maybe that could be it. But you guys remember that squiggly line, just going back up, coming back down, securing that we got this support right here, and letting us know that now we're doing the same. Oh, look at that. All right. Interesting. Maybe it's just a little bit of lag. Sorry about that. But basically that support line will be up here going up and then back down. So that'd be something that we're looking forward to, something that we can push for as a community. I don't know if you guys want to take some questions, if you want to jump back in and let me know what you think along this line. I believe that we're also, when we zoom all the way out, and I still think this is going to go a lot higher. We got the wallet, we got the aggregator, we got, the exchange, we got the NFTs I just heard about. There's so many things happening that these all-time highs, although we'll go up there and test them and it's going to be very exciting, I still think that Shido overall, we're going to ignore these lines for now because, okay, let's go on to that right there. That's what's going on. So right now, these all-time highs are going to be, not looking at all-time high when we pass them up. But right now in the short term, it's cool to learn. It's exciting to learn and to be a part of these developments that, you as a community invested in early on and started to believe in these things. So I think it's pretty exciting to, obviously we believe that Shido is going to go a lot higher than this, but also, it's also for us, it's good for us to learn along the way. And maybe we can show our friends as they're entering where are good entry points as we start to climb. But I can see us easily. So that next point that we're going to call out is that psychological barrier. I'll try to put that line one more time because I just want it to be there. I want it to be transparent. And we did that before and maybe we'll do that again. So it doesn't want to do that. It's interesting. All right. No problem. But yeah, Bahala, don't know if you want to step in.
Yeah,
bro.
man. No, dude, I love it. I think you got a little lag on your side, but that's all right. Those lines and live streams, they'll do that. So no worries, man. But I love the TA, man. I love how in depth you get. I love the fact you're using the resistance, you're using all the key indicators to really demonstrate exactly what's happening with the chart. Because in crypto, right, a lot of people, they see a red candle and they freak out. I mean, I've been a part of that, man. I was a part of a launch of a token yesterday, and I watched this thing, dude. I watched it moon to an insane level, and then I watched the pullback. And I'm not gonna lie, even I'm a pretty confident trader, and I saw that and I was like, ooh, like even I started getting a little worried. And it's that innate fear that we all have, right? Of we don't know, like when we see that reversal, unless we really understand TA, we don't know the resistance levels, the bounce points, and how that that natural progression of the chart can be. And so I think it's really important that we continue to get this out there to the community and to the investors in general, so they can understand the trends, understand that when we hit a resistance level, we are going to have a pullback. That's a healthy pullback. That consolidation sets us for the next leg up, the next new all-time high, right? Because everybody just kind of assumes that it's going to be new all-time high, new all-time high, new all-time high, and that's never quite how the charts work. But
bro, you're absolutely right. And just something that I want to get out there, and not just for everybody else, but also for myself to remember, is plan your trade and trade your plan. And one thing that I completely agree with you on is that not only are people learning about crypto, but now we're throwing in that they got to learn about charts. And like you said, even a veteran can see a big red candle and get really scared or whatnot and be like, whoa, what's going on? But when you start to come up with something that's, that you can understand and be like, okay, well, this happened before where there was a support, here before, and I can see that happen where, other pullbacks might not scare you and stuff. Right now we're very in early stage with Shido, but right now this pullback tapping this line to me doesn't look scary because, well, right here it shows that we did that one time and we rocked right up to all-time highs. That's where we had to hit before. And like you said, a healthy pullback, it's all about perspective. The way I look at it is this is the way the chart is communicating to me. This is the way that I can say, well, the chart is telling me this, so I must say that, because if it doesn't have a healthy pullback, you have no communication, you have no guidelines, you have nothing to go off. So the minute it pulls back and rises back up, that's the chart saying something to you. Okay, I think he joined up.
Yeah, we got Arno in here. Hey, brother, how you doing, man? Welcome back.
Hey, good afternoon, guys. How you doing?
Hey, we're doing great, man. Moneybags over here doing some fantastic TA. I'm glad you made it in because I really want you to kind of bring your analysis of what you've been seeing in the charts. Doing a little bit of plotting, a little bit of looking at the channel that we've been trading in. We got some consolidation, getting ready to move to that next leg up. I want to give both these gentlemen their flowers. Arno is always in the Telegram chat, posting chart after chart after chart, and letting you guys know, hey, long term we're super bullish. This is where we're heading. Short term, this is the trends. We need more of that in the community because it's beautiful to see, man. I mean, it puts the investors' fear and confusion aside, and it really just clarifies like where we're at, what's going on, and how we're going to get that next leg up. But with that, I'm going to turn the mic back over to both you gentlemen. And Arno, I'd love for you to kind of fill in and just give us what you're thinking, man. It's been a while.
Yeah. Again, you hit right on the head. Like to me, this project is long-term bullish. The short-term movements are to be expected because of the whale plays. That's what I call them. I call a whale play, for anyone that may be listening, is any sell event that is completely uncoordinated against the trend that we've already set in the long term, and it just happens to throw us off, meaning that we're going to have to go ahead and reset that trend for the long term again once that gets aiding back up from that big sell-off. And that's pretty much what Shido has been going through over the last 2 weeks. We've had a lot of those coming in randomly, but every single time, as you can see here, I believe this is the which is this the I can't read. Is this the ETH chart or the BNB chart? Or is that the composite?
That is the ETH chart. And Arno, it's a pleasure to meet you and be up on here with you and stuff like that. But that is the ETH chart, brother.
Okay, yeah, likewise, brother. But yeah, with every time we have those major sell-offs, it's like anything else. You have a ripple effect. You throw another ripple in it, and it throws the trend that's already been established off. So now you have to go ahead and reestablish it. But the volume that we have going is completely 100% upward. But then I always like to take in the aspect of the real world issues that are driving this project with the wallet and the integration of atomic swaps with perpetual trade lending, and how that's all going to be linked up with the fiat on and off ramp when that gets all going. And those are the things that are going to drive this price insane. It's going to get to a point to where people buying the token really will be like it won't even be a thirdary concern. Because once you start getting all those transactions in that ecosystem going, it's going to drive the price up. But right now, just on the trading aspects of the token, it's completely 100% bullish, long term. So.
Yeah, and I agree with you, brother. And one thing I want to say too is like, one thing that me and Bahala was talking about before you joined back up with us was that, for sure, this is kind of like the educational, this is not, financial advice. We're just having a good time because even I stated I'm very bullish on Shido, aka Shido. I know I did some research. It means gentleman also in Japanese. So I kind of like the way you guys are carrying yourselves and what you guys are doing. But I like to take these opportunities in the short term to, like what Valhalla said, just kind of show people so like that they don't panic and they can kind of learn, when some of these patterns come about. Like I said in one of the first videos, this iconic white cough it's something that happens a lot. There's low resistance and eventually we make a support on it. We're starting to go right back up. So, these are things that continue to happen. And, we're asking people to only less than 4% of the earth knows about crypto. What percentage do you think is the DeFi space? That's even less, and that's something that people talk about a lot. So let alone also throwing to learning charts, not only just finding a contract and adding it to Uniswap. Now you're going to throw in learning about candlesticks. So I like to try to take this opportunity to kind of, I guess, make it easier along the journey.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree. A lot of it just comes down to just good old fashioned understanding, the how to focus in on a segment of a movement and then looking back at what the segment really means in the bigger picture. That would be to me the big takeaway from what charts really can give you in terms of making you an effective investor and day trader if you choose to be.
I'm going to have you guys tackle this question here from Sophia Starr. She
Okay.
asks, how much do you expect the charts to be impacted by all of the AMAs scheduled for this week? So, great question, right? Because we always talk about buy the rumor, sell the news. Now, the difference, I'm going to offer kind of my perception, and then I want to hear you guys on that TA side of it. With what we have already established with the utility, we already know the utility timeline of what is coming out, and the level of the AMAs that are being presented. For instance, Shib Hodler, the Binance Live, we had Gandalf's AMA not too long ago. We have some top end influencers that are absolutely in the space saying, hey, I want you on my Twitter space, and I want you to talk about your project to my community.
Right.
So, when I hear things like that, I don't foresee that we're going to have a buy the rumor, sell the news event. I feel more that what we're going to do is establish a new floor, consolidate, and move that next leg up, because we've got catalyst after catalyst, right? And I love how Bjorn has laid out these AMAs. They're very, very strategically done. Like, for instance, our AMA here on Valhalla Crypto on the 29th, right? So the day after the Binance Live AMA, he's going to have an opportunity to come onto this platform and literally discuss everything talked about in every AMA and be able to have the attention and floor to say whatever more he wants to say at that point. It's kind of like, putting the cherry on the cake at the very end and then saying, okay, we're good. Go ahead and have a slice. That's just kind of how I'm looking at it. But I'd like to hear from you guys. What would you say to Sophia? What would be your response to that question?
Yeah, I'll go first. Thank you for letting me go first too, bro. I appreciate that. True gentleman, true Shido style, right? Being a gentleman, of course. I would definitely say to Sophia Star is one thing that we mentioned, these technicals, and the technicals definitely help us in the short term. But like Bahal said, the fundamentals is where it starts to come in right now, where I do think that this will help establish a new floor. But there's catalyst after catalyst after catalyst, and this is where you start to kind of line things up. To be honest with you, even doubling down with, I'm going to double down making YouTube videos and bring more eyes. And the more active you guys are, there is I guess, an uncharted variable that can be, where I'm dropping videos, you guys are dropping tweets, retweeting them. I see how active you guys are, where that's a force that you can't put on the chart, right? You can't chart that nowhere else and stuff. But, looking at these fundamentals and the catalysts that are coming forward, I agree. I could see a good floor. And I wouldn't doubt possibly a test to moving up, because there is a bit of hype when things get released, and I'm going to be happy for this community when the iOS wallet comes out and some of these things that come out. So I'm going to be hyped. I'm part of this community now, and those things lead to other people telling a friend like, hey, I'm hyped about this project because things are going really good, and that helps spread the word. So I agree with you on making a new floor, and I'm still pretty bullish and optimistic on it going to test these recent all-time highs for sure.
Yeah, well said. I agree. Me personally, I've gone on record saying I think potentially we could probably touch 7 to 10 million market cap by this weekend. When you factor in all of the things stacking on top of each other with the iOS wallet, with I believe the integration coming in with the ERC20 and BEP20 integration of getting all the tokens in the wallet 100% integrated. We get that taken care of. Then when Bjorn goes out there with the AMAs over the weekend, I think we could run up to maybe potentially 7 to 10 million market cap. Whether or not we'll maintain it is anybody's guess, but I think the opportunity is there because of all the news. Because the human element at the end of the day is what truly drives a trend. A trend is only a trend until it changes into another one, whether it's whether a positive or negative. But we have so many catalysts coming out one after the other that are completely. Not only are they positive announcements, but they're announcements backed up by real world utility that we can showcase. Bjorn has the ability to go on these AMAs and showcase the wallet, showcase the website, showcase the roadmap that he has already filled out these linchpins on here. So this isn't just him talking in a vast smoke or in a vacuum. We have things that we can showcase. This is why I'm saying the potentiality to run up to another all-time high is possible. Potentially.
No, that's really well said, man. And I want to touch kind of on what you talked about there because it goes back to that consumer sentiment, right? That community sentiment of that 7 to 10 million. That's a psychological barrier, right? When we hit the 10 million, you go, we're gonna go down, right? We may or we may not. And what we may find there is that we establish. Let's just say, let's analyze this for a second. And again, money bags. I want your TA on it too. Let's say we establish a new floor at 5 million. So we right now, what are we at right now? We're at 4. Okay, no, we're 4.5. So let's say we establish a new floor at 7 million. So we go up to 10, we come back down, and we establish a new floor at 7. If we were to establish a new floor at 7 and hold that point, what do you feel would happen at that point?
Me personally, what I would think is a little bit more trust from the community as well, because now that these start like Armo was saying, when these things start to become tangible, they're not just any other kind of utility. These are real life utilities that we're going to need for finance, and they're right up the alley of everything that we do with cryptocurrency. So, I could totally see a floor above that. And a lot of it has to do with the community. Like, that's why the minute we start, I always say what you mean and mean what you say. So, we got a dev that's doing these things and keeping his promises along the way. That's going to build more trust where, like Armo said, it's going to it's the human sentiment. The trend is your friend. You should always follow the trend. And if the trend has a good morale and the dev is, fulfilling these promises, I wouldn't see why the community wouldn't want to hold a new floor above the all-time high, because basically this is coming from my perspective, of course, where basically now we break all-time high. We got only some of the utilities that the dev has promised, but we can see that the rest are going to come out. So why not hold and let this chart look good for new investors to come in and let them buy at these prices as we continue to grow and these new developments continue to come out. These prices will continue to climb and stuff. And on his projection of 7 to 10 million, I think that's fair. And like I said, it's up to the community.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The other point I kind of want to drive our conversation on a little bit too here is a point that both of you gentlemen made. And that is the mass adoption of crypto. And now Arno has really driven this point home, and I know it's part of why he is super bullish on Shido, is because it is opening the gateway for mass adoption. Because moneybags, like you talked about, only 4% of the global population actually invests in crypto. And I think it's like 0.05% that's in DeFi. Like, it's not even near like a half of 1% that actually invests in DeFi, which is where we are. So, the goal with Shido, and for me, it was super bullish to hear Bjorn talk about this in this AMA that he had today. And in that AMA, he was telling everybody, look, I want to bring mass adoption to DeFi, not just crypto in general, but to the DeFi realm. Because truly in DeFi is where we can make a lot of money. That's where a lot of good plays can be made. And, Arno, I'm going to give you the mic first on this one because I know this is your favorite topic to talk about with fiat on-ramps, off-ramps, the integration, the ease of access with the wallets, and really, making it to where you can have a trader that's day one in crypto or they've been in crypto for 15 years, and they're both going to be able to utilize the platform, and they're both going to be able to trade on it. I think it's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, to me, what's taking place right now in crypto, and you're starting to see other copycats, as it would be, in the crypto space. The next logical phase is wallets. Websites and centralized exchanges, to me, are going to be the way of the dodo in a couple of years. Because the reality of it is that extra step of having to get into a website and then load your and then connect your wallet and then send tokens over to exchanges just creates too much of a bottleneck for you to even make gains. Say, for instance, my name is Joey in New York, and I don't have the ability to load crypto because of legislation. I would now then have to get a VPN after finding out this information, take the time to get that linked up, then go through all the process of getting my wallet linked up to whatever exchange I'm going to go to, send those funds into that wallet, convert it into the crypto that I want to go to, whether it be ERC20 or BEP20 or whatever chain you're going to convert to, then send that cryptocurrency to that exchange, then perform a trade. By that time, potentially your price margins would have been gone. This wallet, in my opinion, this is how I define it. It's an inclusionary DeFi wallet. That's what it is. It includes the entire world economy because the entire world retail economy is in the multi-quadrillions. Let that sink in. The entire world retail economy of money that's just sitting out there. If we just get a fractionary measure of that coming into the DeFi space, let alone through the Shido wallet, it's going to send the price insane. Not only just for this particular currency, but the entire crypto space. Because right now we're already in a state of bearishness from the last year. We have to recover about $3.5 trillion to get back to where we were about this time last year. So the future for crypto is going to be in the multi-trillions going forward. Now you take that in consideration with all of these fiat gateways that will be coming up, because that to me, that's the natural progression. The number one chief aspect to get crypto to grow will be getting the money into the space. There is no greater duty than that. You can't get money into the space efficiently. You can't have the space grow. The more you can remove friction on that area, the faster and the greater crypto can grow. Shido wallet's going to allow that. Then on top of that too, with the wallet having the ability to have atomic swaps and then perpetual trade lending in that, it allows you to go directly from those fiat loads into the trades in real time, meaning that you're going to become an effective day trader now. For the first time really in crypto, where you can get a wallet and you can load actual real world money and get into every crypto. I know Coinbase has their thing, but they're limited. They're only on ERC20. They don't have atomic swaps. They don't have the ability to go through all the myriad of chains that are out there. Imagine being able to load onto Solana chain and getting a token on there and then forking it over to BEP20 or going to ERC20 or whatever token you may want to get into. That to me is going to be the game changer. It's going to drive the cryptocurrency market cap even higher when you have more wallets like this, because there won't be one to rule them all, but this one will be one of the first. And to me right now, the way it's being implemented, it's going to be the best. So with that being said, I think right now the Shido wallet stands on the cusp of really renovating the DeFi space.
No, man, that's really well said. I just wanted to touch on that before I turn it over to Moneybags Rico here. Is right now the total crypto market at this point is 971 billion. That's it, 971 billion. We are so far under $1 trillion, and like you just said, we have to regain almost 5 trillion from the last bull run.
5 or 4 trillion from that.
5 or 4 trillion before we really truly begin new gains. So we haven't even begun the recovery phase. So think about that in a context where right now we are under what the market what the market was before last bull run's pump. We got to get back to that, regain 4 to 5 trillion, and then truly begin the gains. Shido is going to be here for that entire progressive run. You're talking about first world utility that links both the crypto and the DeFi space together with one wallet, one wallet for all the utility. You don't have to connect to multiple dApps. You don't have to connect to multiple aspects of utility. It's a complete ecosystem in one little tiny app, and it's the most invasive thing I've ever seen.
Quick, Val, if you don't mind. Another aspect I forgot to touch on. The aspect of getting these third world countries, no one talks about this enough. The third world countries out there who don't have basic essentials that we have here in the first world, but what they do have is cell phones and Wi-Fi and great numbers of them. Imagine opening up that market and you get 5 million new users over time, just putting in an average of say about $200 into crypto. for the first time. And they're coming in, and not only coming into a situation where they'll be able to be educated, because the wallet has an aggregation in it, meaning that you'll be able to learn trades as you're doing them. You won't just be trading nakedly. You'll be actually able to see the actual numbers and the factors in there and make trades based on information within the crypto space. So you're bringing in all this new money from areas from people who have never been able to participate in crypto before. That's why I call it's an inclusionary DeFi wallet, because it's going to include the entire world economy. Now you'll have the option. All you need to do is get on to Apple or iOS or wherever you choose, download the wallet, link up your card, and then you can just load fiat money in there, and then you're off to the races. And that's going to send the ecosystem insane, especially when you factor that against that 100 billion supply total, with 48 respectively between BNB and ETH, with 10 being invested on each side by the devs to be and then we have no idea what the devs are going to do with the burns long term. I mean, I've gone on record saying I think potentially I wouldn't be surprised if Bjorn got down to 15 billion. I would not be surprised, because if you look at other token suppliers that come out with 100 billion, they usually X off maybe about 55 to 65% of their supply. We've already nixed half of it on each chain. Now, if he decides to keep the same supply and then just goes ahead and links it to where we have a drawstring between the Ethereum side and BNB side, well, all bets are off at that point, because now you're going to have a situation where both supplies are pulling against each other on every transaction. So for every Ethereum transaction, it's going to pull against the BNB side and vice versa. So with you factor in all these ancillary factors coming into the space, the Shido project looks nothing but bullish in the long term.
Yeah, man, I couldn't agree more than that. Rico, what are you feeling, man? What's your take on all that?
Well, I think you guys said it best. I think the best thing that I can bring into it is just, putting that all together and just stating that we live in a time of opportunity right now, because just like you guys are stating, all this onboarding and this type of technology is so new and advanced. We roll back history, like I talk about on the charts in the past. Imagine, knowing when money was going to change its characteristics. And what I mean by that is, you used to carry around gold shillings in a pouch, and then you got paperbacks, and then checks came out, and then credit cards came out. And then, you start tapping your phone to pay for things. So imagine being just a person that was making the plastic cards for Visa. You didn't have to come out with Visa. You could have just been the person making the plastic cards because you knew money was going to change its characteristics. And you could have just been solely just the card printer guy, and you'll be up so much. And right now, projects like Shido and this ecosystem that we have with all these new products, that's the manufacturing of the cards. If you be it, the currency itself being made for us to interact, it being a governance token. So it's how we interact with this ecosystem. It's I don't believe that money's going to change its costume or its characteristics. I like to say, like, while we're still around. Again, I think it's going to be this way for a long time, and we're very early. So being with Shido, that has all these things that are going to end up being used anyways on a larger scale down the road, because I believe this is going to be the way. We already see people tapping their phones everywhere. It's the lily pad effect. When you put a frog on there, if you put it too hot, it'll jump off. But if you put it on a simmer, the frog will stay on there till it cooks. And they got people getting used to scanning QR codes and being used to, switching over from, credit cards to now tapping your phone to pay for things. So it's going to take some time, but like Arnold said, long term, this is very bullish. I still think it's bullish even in the short term. And I think we're early as, not only Shido investors, but as cryptocurrency enthusiasts and investors as well. That's my take on that.
I agree.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, I wanted to ask you, I see you're over there doing some chart plotting. You got something for us there, Moneybags? What you doing over there with some lines?
Well, I just like to see things that constantly happen before, and when they line up, it just really helps bring assurance, because I'll keep stressing, somebody who's day trading or even swing trading, whatever, all we're trying to do is just self-fulfilled prophecies. And hopefully I think we lost you, Bahal. Not sure if maybe just video. Okay.
Nope, you're good, brother. I just enlarged your screen. That was it.
Okay. But some things that I do want to add that I didn't earlier, and because I like to focus on the basics in the beginning, and was just support and resistance. What I want to also add for those that may be curious in the chat, maybe later on in the video, if somebody watches it, the indicators that I'm using, you know, these dots right here, this is called the parabolic SAR, and it helps you identify the trend. And that's basically all I'm doing. It's just layering these indicators and layering, you know, also the support and resistance to help me identify which way the trend is going. So basically type in SAR, you'll get the dots. And then the one on the bottom that I have down here is the MACD. I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with that one. That one's a lot more popular, which is the MACD. But for those that are not familiar how the MACD works, when these candles are solid green, dark green, that means it has buying momentum, buying pressure. When we start getting light green candles, we're losing that buying pressure, and dark red means selling pressure. Light red means we're losing that selling pressure. And when you start to layer charts like this, you know, you can kind of see which way we're marching, and you can kind of use that to help you out which way the trend is going overall. But always start, you know, not financial advice, but I like to start on a higher time frame and work my way down to see exactly where I'm at. You should not be rushing into things. You know, you don't have to worry about anything. We're not going to take off with you. Things are being planned out by the dev, very strategic, like Bahal said, with the AMAs, with the things being released, also by not bringing in some of the venture capitals. I'm not sure if you guys, you know, chimed into that AMA, some of those spaces, but not letting people get a large amount of Shido because they might just dump it because they don't have the community's best interest at heart. Their best idea and what they want to do is make money, which we understand business is business. But, you know, we also got a good dev that's protecting us by not wanting to, you know, almost put us up on a chopping block, possibly by, you know, some big companies that might dump on us, considering where the markets are at right now. So, you know, we got a lot of positive things going. You know, if you guys got questions later on, you guys can always tap in with me. I'll be in these telegrams, and, you know, just if there's questions about these charts that maybe have to click later on, or that you want to ask me, yeah, just tap in with me and we'll get through it.
All right. I also want to add too what I like to use. I pretty much use everything you use, particularly with the MACD. That's probably my favorite one. But the one that I like to use even more so is the moving average line. I think that one is the one that really helps me get a feel for where the price aggression is going to be. Because usually when the spot price is competing against the moving average line, you pretty much can get an idea of what the price is going to do in the short term. Then when you can put that together with the MACD, and you watch the lines on the convergence and divergence lines, and then you look at the predecessing buying and selling sentiment, you kind of can get a good idea of how the price is going to perform. So I find those to be the most useful for me personally.
Yeah, that moving average, it really does shine some light. I was going to say, Rico, do you mind throwing up the BNB chart? Let's take a look at the BNB side here, and just kind of show everybody what's going on with that, because it's an interesting comparison. Because ETH right now is at 6,889, right? So we had a little bit of selling pressure. You can kind of see what Rico was talking about, where you start to see we're minting red, where we're losing the buying pressure and we're kind of gaining selling. But if you actually flip over and you take a look at the BNB chart, especially if you look at the moving average, you're going to see kind of what Arno's referring to, where the lines are starting to kind of trend close. Exactly. And if we get there and we cross that line, we're going to set ourselves, as long as we can stay above that moving average, we're going to set ourselves up to be able to break out and move higher. So it's always kind of a neat comparison to look at the two charts and see exactly what's happening on both chains. But I'm going to mute myself, and Moneybags, I'm going to let you take it out.
Yeah, for sure. And Arno, I want to know on the moving average, what exactly, which one do you like? Is it the 200 moving average that you like, or which one do you rock with?
No, the 200 EMA. 200 EMA. Exponential moving average line. I just put that, just the base. Yeah. That's when I find it useful.
Okay.
That I also like
Dex tools load up. But I'll definitely pop right now. Next time I'll have the BNB chart on a different tab ready for both of us and do it on both sides.
Oh, you're good, brother. No, I put you on the spot on that one.
I also like that. I find the RSI is very useful.
and a lot of them, what they're doing is simply, showing you a crossover. And one thing that you got to do, and I actually like a lot of them, like even the 200 moving average. I respect the RSI, but you also got to be careful with this thing called analysis paralysis, and that's where you start to layer up a little bit too much. And me personally, I like to get rid of this grid line. So if you guys don't mind, I'll get rid of these grids really
Yeah,
quick.
those are my
That helps
main
me
three.
just kind of see my own.
The moving average, MACD, and the
I like to see
RSI.
my
That's what I get. I've seen guys up there, they'll have like 17. I won't mention any names, but I've seen guys, other YouTubers, they'll have like about 7 different concepts on for one chart. It looks like something out of a Star Wars grid or something.
Yeah, and you know what? And that's why I know about analysis paralysis, because I got to keep it with you, brother. I got to keep it real with you. It's like, I've used all these indicators and I know them because, well, I've been there before, where you start to kind of overdo it a little bit. You just want to be so accurate that you can kind of do it to yourself accidentally and stuff. But I found that if I can identify the trend pretty easy, and the MACD helps me do that with especially the MACD that has these candles. It's some MACDs do not have the candles where they're solid green and then they turn light green to let you know the momentum has changed. And you'll see that on different charts. Some MACDs, but when you have a MACD that has these candles that also help you notice that, it's pretty interesting. So let's go ahead and zoom out and see what we got on this chart.
I just think MACD along with RSI and the moving average, to me those are the best 3 combinations, because that gives you the price, the spot. It helps you with the spot price time. Then you also get the backed up volume and how it relates to what we're coming next, and then you get the oversold and overbought levels. That's pretty much what I find to be more useful. Mm-hmm.
And those were great. I like the MFI for the overbought and oversold, the money flow index. It kind of snitches out where that is actually happening at really good. I'm gonna hide these moving averages just so I can get my support and resistance, and I can see what's going on, and then we can overlay them, because I can kind of see these same patterns. That's why sometimes that analysis paralysis helps out, because I've learned to kind of clean it up as much as I can, because all these patterns happen nonstop. They just keep happening, and we got this right here again all over. Almost that same Wyckoff pattern happening again, where the resistance first before we have that initial breakout, that tapping, and then that large breakout by us tapping it right here. But really, it's completed. This Wyckoff pattern, look it up, please do. It's not always perfect, but it's completed once we have that really ugly pullback. Sometimes it's also the end of a dead cat bounce. It'll be like from right here this way, or this is the end of the tail of the cat and basically starting to curl back up. But we have let's go ahead and mark this up. You guys get to see me in the zone and how I'm just I navigate on it. I just like to simply find where we've been before, and that's how I can figure out where we're going. You got to know where you've been to know where you're going. That's for sure. So I like see channels, and as they pop out to me, I just identify them where it's hit the most. Where you can see it just kind of top that is tried. The BNB is a little bit more wild, I guess you can say, where you can see that right there. Because there's the price action is a lot more. But once again, I want to we'll go through this chart since we built it up anyways, and you guys can learn how to do this. This support and risk. This is basically how I do this, and help me identify these patterns. So right here on this channel, I found the channel that we're in, the channel that we broke out of course. This top channel is the one we're in, right? We got support here. When we try to hold support back here, and all these times through basically all this false breakout right here, holding this support right here, tapping this support again. I got to put the arrow on there because I can, I just got to put it on there because we see it, right? And then we have that other support. So it helps us know that we were inside this channel. We lost this channel because we got a support. We lost that support. We're riding back up. Remember that when we lose a support, that becomes a resistance. If we break through that, then it has to become a support. So we lost that. It was supposed to be a resistance. We have a breakout, but we have that squiggly thing that I was trying to draw before. And this is that same pattern you're always going to see. Time and time again, when we break out of that downtrend and we go back up, I'm going to draw it up here so I don't mess it up. But so you can see it. you know, that same squiggly pattern that for some reason while I'm live streaming, they don't let me do it.
Fine, Rico. I found it interesting that usually when you have your main cup, the following cups, you get the miniature cups that seem to mimic the major cup that preceded it. Like right here, right there. Yeah, you see that right there. They those incremental cups against the major cup pattern, and that usually leads to a little bit of a breakout after that. Most cases.
Yeah, even overall the big version. You know, if you want to look at the cup and handle, they're almost always all there. You know, you can see that big cup, the little handle, and then you gotta break above this line right here. You know, this main line right here would be the main one. But I found, you know, this right here, the trend change around, and the way you can tell that it's almost pretty solid, that now we'll consolidate. Check this out how it's going to happen. Most likely we'll consolidate, and especially with a great dev and community, we got these AMAs we're going to keep engaging. We'll find this consolidation because this pattern right here, this up, back, down. This is where people usually get wrecked. And I'm gonna tell you why, because we're showing you the good side of it. This is what sometimes happens, and people cannot wait for it to happen, is when it goes up, they can't wait for it to go back down and go back up to prove to them they made a support. And sometimes what happens is you'll have a false breakout to the top. It'll break out to the top, but it won't hold a support. And you saw the breakout, you accidentally FOMO in. So what happens? The chart starts going down. Now what happens? You start adding selling pressure because now you're scared. So there was already going to be some normal selling, but now you're adding more selling pressure because you panic selling, right? So now you're hurting the chart. And Bahal talked about keeping the chart healthy and stuff. I mean, he did an amazing breakdown in the Telegram. Bahal, I got to give you massive credit on that. I mean, some true gems and knowledge spilled in that Telegram with how he talked about keeping our chart healthy. And I'm a big advocate of that. And the way we can do that, I found that I can help is, you know, if somebody would have waited like this and then this chart starts to go back up, they're not going to be afraid of this pullback now right here, because we already identified that we're on the downtrend by going up and going back up. So this little pullback, it wouldn't worry me. It would just tell me that we're consolidating now till we have enough, you know, like we took enough breath to go ahead and push back up. That's all it's telling me. Now, if we would have went up and not made a support and just came right back down, then my entry would have been down here. Simply, it would have been down here. Why? Because, well, it's already showed us that it likes to respect that entry. So, you know, I see this entry here. And you know what's good about teaching this people stuff and showing them these entries is when they get in, they feel really happy that they did right. You know, so, you know, if they would have saw the chart come through here and peel through here, my entry personally would have been down here. I would have just waited. But seeing that it held and it pushed back the first green candle, something too before, if you don't mind, Arnold, the way I can tell the trend is changing a lot easier too is by changing the candles. So usually the candles will look like this. And you'll notice it's going to be very, very choppy in a second. Okay, look at the candles now. You see the difference? Red, green, red, green, red, green, very inconsistent, at least for me. So when I come over here to the candles and I put the Heiken Ashi candles, this is how I find my entry, of course, okay? So now, after the support happened, the first green, not the first one, we got a doji candle, right? Let's zoom in. Yeah. The doji candle, the buyers and the sellers pushing against it, so it gets really thin right there. But the next green candle, with this body that broke above the doji candle and broke above this one, that's my entry point right there. I'm in it right now because the trend identified that we made a support, and on the Heiken Ashi candles, we're good. I'm ready to go. Let's ride this one, and you ride that out.
I also want to identify what you're saying. This is why I like the MACD. If you look at the far right against that pattern, look at what the MACD is doing with the convergence lines. See how they're flattening out, showing that that trend is now going to hold going into the next phase. That supports what he's talking about on the map. That's why that's the important.
No, go ahead, bro. You're absolutely right. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, but those convergence lines. See, once those lines converge and they straighten out and they go concurrently, once they start to get concurrent with each other, it starts to show a steady pattern of support, at least in that increment. So it supports what he's talking about with his chart charting, with the finding his bottoms. You see how it's layering out. Even though there's a little bit of sell pressure coming in, it's still leveling out, supporting a steady pull up. Now, once the lines start to deviate and diverge from each other, that's when you start to have either the pull up, if they're diverging up, you're going to get buy pressure. If they're diverging down, you're going to get sell pressure. But as it stands right here, they're going to go ahead and just trend out based on what he's saying.
Right, absolutely. You can see it right there where, they're basically just kind of coasting to the right. And, this is a bullet. This is my bad. I was on the wrong screen, but yeah, you can see it just kind of coasting to the right. And definitely right here, we're starting to hold on to that and start to identify, that we're marching to the right. And always, if you're questioning, are we marching to the right? Just layer the chart. Just literally just go ahead and break the time frames down, and it'll start to tell a long story of what's going on. And we can see that, okay, we held that support. We're marching to the right. Let's go down to the 1 hour, and let's continue right here. And we can see that we're still marching to right. We're not selling downwards really hard or flushing downward. And I got to give credit to the community for that. So, above this line, we're still good. That's at 78, 73. So yeah, that's how it continues basically. And you can just identify that. We can see that MACD that Arnold's talking about kind of starting to go back up on the lower time frames. And, as buying pressure starts to step in, as buys start to come in, they will converge back to the opposite side and cross back over. And especially once we get more buying volume, more buying pressure. Let's go ahead and zoom out a little bit. Yeah.
Not surprised at that little sell-off. I saw it coming personally. It was looking like it was going to be either a breakout or a breakdown. Usually when you get those, it's going to be a 50-50 play, and it went the other way on that one, but it's cool.
Yeah. And that's why on the longer time frames, you just want to identify that support, because then you won't sweat on the shorter time frame. Sometimes people are way too zoomed in, so that sell-off doesn't bother me because we already know where our support's at. We already know our consolidation zone, and we can see our consolidation zone right now. We'll point it out. This is the B&B chart. Shout out to Bahal. If you guys are rocking with us, go ahead and smash the like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel and leave a bullish comment. I love what Jim Crypto said right here. He said, after this, I may actually be able to look at a chart and understand some of the great great work, gentlemen. So I really appreciate that. Jim Crypto, appreciate the support, and Bahal for having us up in here. And like I said, now we know that this channel right here, so on the higher time frames, you won't be too nervous because we know that support's right here. If we see breakdowns on the lower time frames, no big deal. This is called range trading. The minute we get into this, where we find this little zone and we're waiting for the breakout, this is where it becomes a range trade, and then we'll wait for the next breakout, the next week up. But yeah, appreciate all the support. This is epic, and yeah, this is pretty cool and a great community.
That's why I keep saying to the community, I post charts all the time of both short term and long term. Like I said, these are just small little plays. But if you look at the long term picture, the big picture on the weekly and monthly charts, it's bullish, 100% bullish on the when you zoom out. It's just these little micro plays that happen that interrupt the trend in the small frame. It could give you a little bit of a bearish sentiment if that's all you're focusing on. But when you zoom out the big picture, it's bullish, 100%.
Speaking of bullish and zooming out, I mean, look at this on the daily chart.
I'll pull up right there.
What else? I mean, this is the daily chart, and
look at the
what was that?
Pull up right.
Oh yeah. Oh man, Arnold, that's for you right there, Arnold. Yeah, that's for you, Arnold. That's that MACD that you like right there. Look at it. That's exactly what you want from a MACD, Arnold. You want those dark candles turning light. You want that blue line crossing the yellow. Yeah, go ahead.
That's the convergence I'm talking about right there.
That's a go time is what that is right there. That is telling you right there, we're about ready. The rocket's about to lift off on that one. And now the only thing, and as Arno will say, is we got to stay above that trend line, right? So we got to stay above the daily average. If we can keep that pressure up and stay above that line, we can go and we can essentially set a new high. It just depends on
stretch. When the margins get too stretched, that's when you have the sell pressure that could creep in. You want to keep the margins generally, within a few thousand points of each other. Once they start getting stretched too much, that's when you start to get that pullback pressure. That's why I like to see steady charts where you have them going sideways steadily up. I don't like to see the major spikes because that's, those are your pick 'em candles. I hate those. Like they could come down on your head like a brick in the air.
Yes, sir. Well, we are coming up on an hour. What I don't want to do is keep anyone longer than they have time for. There's a couple things. I'm going to share my screen real quick that I wanted to switch over and share with everybody. that I just want to remind everybody on briefly here. First and foremost, one of our announcements came out today, and that was our listing on StealthX. If you guys haven't checked this out, please make sure you guys do go and check it out. Go ahead to stealthx.io. Shido is now listed on StealthX. It is another swap capability for you guys to do trading on. So it's just one more outlet to utilize, one more tool in our toolbox to say it in a, I guess, a fairly simple context. Go ahead. What's up, brother?
Volume contributor.
Yes, sir. And then outside of that, I also want to remind everybody of the DOSA AMA that Bjorn had. Now, if you were not able to attend that, you know, right now we had 184 likes, 147 retweets, and 77 comments. There were some serious bombs dropped on this DOSA AMA, and I want you guys to understand on the community level. I know right now, right? We look at our project. We just went through a lot of TA and a lot of charting, and what you see is absolute bullishness in the long term, right, and the short term. What you're seeing right now is nothing in comparison to what is coming. And when you were seeing AMAs like the DOSA AMA, and this dev in his community, he's telling Bjorn, I've never seen anything in the DeFi space like what you're bringing to the table. I'm telling you guys, when the bull run hits, and it's coming. There's indicators out there right now on the Bitcoin charting. You know, we're looking at a 6-day cross. We're looking at some other things there. What's up, Arno?
I'm agreeing with you. I agree 100%. We're heading for a bull run, I think, in the next 3 months in crypto.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say, right? Is to touch on that real quick. That 6-day death cross that everyone's talking about with Bitcoin. If you remember back to 2018, and I'll link a video down here for you guys to watch on that too in the comments if you're curious, because he's all about Bitcoin and charting, and it's some of the best TA I've seen for Bitcoin. He talks about that 6-day death cross, and when that happened in 2018, that really did signify the end of the bear market and the start of the bull run. And if you look, I think it was about a month after that 6-day cross, we started that high uptrend into the new bull run. So there's a potential here that December,
if I could add to that,
January. Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
I was there at ground zero for that. Bitcoin ran from, I believe, from $65,000 to $7,000 all the way up to $2,100, That's the strength of what that means when you get those crosses, when you have that insurgence of volume coming in. And keep in mind, people, there's a recovery out there. We have to get to a recovery first before we get into the actual true bull run. We have to recover around $4 trillion. Then we start going into the next, the next multi phases of the cryptocurrency market cap. So it's going to be insane.
So guys, this upcoming bull run, I think it might be the most epic bull. I honestly think it might outpace 2021's bull run. And I know a lot of people are going to say, but you had Shiba and you had minted millionaires left and right. We did. But in the situation of this potential bull run, we didn't have to recover almost $4 trillion before we truly took off. We're going to recover that, and then we're going to start at a year to 2 year straight bull run. I mean, if you look at the analytics on Bitcoin, they're forecasting the top of this next run early February or 2025. So 23, we're talking about a full 2 year bull run before you start to hit that cool off trend and that top of Bitcoin around February to March of 2025. So Arno, I mean, you guys tell me, if we have a full 2 year bull run and we're potentially talking about a Bitcoin going anywhere near 80 to 90K, everybody knows when Bitcoin runs, altcoins run, right? It takes everything with it. Bitcoin rises, Ethereum bounces, and every altcoin rises.
I want to take that, though. I want to relate that particularly to our ecosystem, what it means for us individually. Because of the nature of the wallet, the nature of the fiat on-ramp, with us being involved in that from that aspect, just getting a fraction of that bull run amount coming into us is going to send our token amount insane in terms of value, because of the governance spread to provide payment for liquidity providers along atomic swap chains and perpetual trade lending. You factor in just those two aspects alone with fiat. Remember, the fiat directly coming in is new money. Every time someone decides they want to put $10, $20, $1,000, it comes directly into our ecosystem, and then it goes into a token. Yes, it will go into the cryptocurrency market cap, but it will go in it through us and our token, driving the price of our token insane. Because not only because of the money coming in, but the governance and the burn rate on our token within the DEX doing all of these trades 24/7, 365, and then these lending possessions on shorts and longs with perpetual trade lending. And that's a whole other story for another time. But generally speaking, what you have is a bunch of transactions going in all day in the midst of a bull run in crypto with multi-trillions of dollars flowing in.
You know, Arno, I know you say that the perpetual platform and the lending is a story for another day. I kind of want you to touch a little bit on that because we're talking about a potential 2-year bull run. What impact do you see that is going to have directly to our ecosystem?
Well, perpetual trade lending essentially is when you have contract calls. It's no different than taking a trade in stocks with margin calls, playing a short or a long. The difference is the time frame. In stocks, traditionally it's always been maybe a week, a month. You can maybe long it or short it. Well, perpetual trades, it will be contract moment to moment, meaning that you can get into a contract and record a spark price and then get a margin call up to 1x to 100x lending position, meaning that if you make money with that margin trade, the Shido token will then pay out the person what they've made on that call and the liquidity provider. If you lose, the money will obviously be paid back to the liquidity provider in excess of what they lost and then settle out. But the takeaway is the governance of that, the governance of all these positions being taken in a moment. Remember, these are not calls for like days. These are calls within seconds. Like you'll say if I say I want to put a call, okay, ETH is going to go up by about say 5% in the next 1 minute period. I'll put a perpetual contract in for that for maybe a 35x land position against it. Maybe I think it might short. I'll go ahead and short it for about 5%. I'll put that call in. It has to go there in the next minute. It'll have to get settled, and then that payout will have to be dispersed through the Shido governance token. That in itself, right there, is going to drive the price insane because now you're going to have all of these fees going out the door. Because remember, imagine someone doing that at a multiple scale, not just one person doing that. Imagine hundreds of people doing that, coming in, placing all of these calls again. Also, with just basic atomic swaps with trades. You're having all of these call positions with longs and shorts going on. Then people are getting in with atomic squats in the same time because that's part of the game too. You want to get the token. If I'm going to long a token, it's in my best interest to go ahead and buy it when I long it. You might as well go ahead and hold it and increase the position. You know, people do those type of things if you have the ability to make that kind of a play. Or if you have the token, you can go ahead and sell it and try to short it against your short position. So you're doing all of these things going on in the crypto space at the same time in one ecosystem with one token to govern all of this in a very small quantity, taking place in a bull run. With
it's going to be wild, man. It's going to be wild.
It's what basically it is just price acceleration. You're taking something that usually has been in weeks and months and now making it in seconds.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Moneybags, what do you think about that? I mean, with the perpetual system going into the bull run, being able to do the lending and trading, and then of course, kind of what we were talking about with that 6-day death cross, kind of indicating we might be actually, despite where the world is right now, because let's face it, we got a lot of bad shit happening right now, and we got a 6-day death cross that's telling us that we may, despite all of that, actually be approaching that bull run. What are your thoughts on it, brother?
Yeah, for sure, bro. Like one thing that I will say is I do believe that bear markets, or what I like to call them now, buyer markets, you know, this is a buyer's market basically happening right now for those who know that these are cheap prices to what's to come, of course. But what I think is what's good about Shido, the opportunity they have. Projects that launched when ETH was $4,600, you gotta wait till ETH gets all the way back up to kind of recover some of that value, you know. And Shido launching during this time right now, and us not even being that far down, when ETH recovers back up to, you know, $4,600 and BNB's back at, you know, $600 and something dollars, that's automatically going to give, you know, the Shido tokens its intrinsic value. It's going to go up no matter what. It's just going to automatically, because they're pegged to these. So I think over the long term, it's just bullish because we're in a very favorable position, basically, because we started after kind of the end of that real bearish, where it got real bad, because some tokens started in the beginning of the bull market. So they launched a token at 4,600. Now those tokens have pulled back so far that, you know, they got to wait for ETH to go back up. I can only imagine where Shido will be once it's, you know, back up at, you know, ETH back up at 4,600, and people are adopting this a lot more.
Yeah, I believe it's going to be real dollars. I mean, because of what you're talking about and the governance of it. I mean, you're not. There's a spread.
And one thing also, what was that, Arnold?
I was just saying that, like, there's a spread that has to. There's a spread that has to be covered with liquidity providers. Like, they have to be compensated by liquidity. That spread will then have to go up because that token supply is too small. It's going to be constantly depreciating, meaning the price will have to go up. And on top of that, what you're talking about too, with the pegging to BNB and Ethereum, not to mention the other tokens that are out there that it will be swapping into, going against. Remember, we're going to be on several different chains, meaning we'll be going in between those chains to swap tokens as well. Those tokens will go up in value and thus perpetually increase the price of Shido as well. Now you factor that in with those outside reasons, with the interior reasons in our ecosystem, and you wrap it all together. It's just one big old price squeeze. To me, the thing has to be dollars. You can't have this thing valued at a couple cents and provide liquidity to all these. I mean, provide payments to all these liquidity providers with like a fractionary token. Just not going to work.
Right. And Vahal, to answer that other part of your question, I felt like I didn't answer it all the way. The part of like BTC and whatnot. I believe these bear markets will over time start to last less and less, because the amount of communication that we got at our fingertips and able to communicate with Twitter Spaces. And, you know, when I started doing crypto in 2017, there were not all these options, and it wasn't as easy for me to navigate, you know, through social networks to help out, you know, close this gap. And I believe we should probably check out the rainbow chart for BTC. You know, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the rainbow chart for Bitcoin, but it has the Bitcoin halving in there as well. And, you know, it's something that I believe we're going to have relieve. I believe that we could have, you know, a relieve of the bear market, and then a full blown bull market, uncontrollable parabolic Bitcoin halving, because I'm big on things repeating itself, you know. And if you look at, I encourage you guys to go check it out, the Bitcoin rainbow chart. And you'll see that, you know, it stays within these patterns and stuff. And the next run after the Bitcoin halving, you see Bitcoin on the rainbow chart. If it did what it did this last bull market, the same percentage, but now moved higher, we see Bitcoin at $200-something thousand. So,
well, you know, I was just going to interject real quick. Didn't mean to cut you off there, Moneybags. Next Tuesday, how about you join us next Tuesday, and we'll actually we'll spend a little bit of time looking at that chart and talking about Bitcoin. Let's show everyone really what we're talking about when we're looking at those moving averages, those, you know, the 6-day cross, the 5-day, the 4-day, the 1-day. Let's show the community kind of what we're referring to and what potentially might be coming. I did want to answer this question real quick from Dental Solution. This individual said, "Is the bull run going to help increase the value of our Shido BNB and Shido ETH?" Yes. So that's what we're talking about right here, Dental. Is when Bitcoin runs, Ethereum runs. For the Ethereum side, we are an ERC20, a wrapped token on ERC20, or Ethereum, meaning that when ETH runs, altcoins run. Now, naturally, when those two indicators happen, those two coins run, you are going to get a couple different things. First of all, there's no longer fear and uncertainty about risky assets because there is money to be made. So all of that capital money, that corporate investment money that's sitting on the sidelines right now in bonds and in other aspects of financial institutions, they're no longer fearful of the crypto market. That money is going to pour directly back into this market. And to Arno's point, we're going to recover about $4 to $5 trillion in lost assets that's been liquidated since the beginning of this bear run. Now, when that happens, that's gonna then spur consumer confidence. Everyone's gonna FOMO back in the market, and every altcoin is going to run. So yes, during the bull run, you will see prices that you never thought you would see. You're gonna open your wallet, and you're gonna see things that's gonna make you question if it's real. And I will tell you, it's real. Oh boy, you know you're getting big on YouTube when the porn sites start popping in. Let's go ahead and block that out real quick. One last thing I wanted to bring up here too is I don't know if anyone noticed. So we haven't walked through the website. I think we'll do a detailed tour this next Tuesday. But I wanted to point out when Arno's talking about the exchange and the features that are coming here. So just briefly, right? DeFi aggregator, liquidity pools and yield farming, limit orders in the swap, decentralized leverage trading.
Valhalla, can I touch on that one?
Oh, you absolutely can.
Jesus Christ. Okay. The significance of having stop loss and putting buying orders in on atomic swaps is key because for the obvious reason, number one, it completely definitely competes with centralized exchanges. You don't have to go there now to put in calls anymore. You no longer have to take your assets over there to put a buy order in and play in a isolated pool. But number two, it's going to make buys and sells along the within the ecosystem more organic in relationship to what happens on exchanges. Because now you're going to have buy orders now in atomic swaps for the first time coming up. Meaning that when there's our buys and sells, those orders will now get triggered and have more price impact. Generally speaking, right now with Shido, we're generally a swap token for the most part. Most of our volume comes from swaps. So those are instantaneous buys and instantaneous sales. But going forward, we're going to actually have calls being put in at certain price points. Meaning that if there's a sell-off, that means that those calls will get instantly ate up immediately. And then you're going to start to have these mega walls come in for buys that have already been factored in. That's going to have the price impact that's going to have just on that alone is going to be insane.
Yeah, no, you're spot on. Shadow Queen, IET. So just wanted to give you a quick heads up. I, without asking if you would or would not like to, have promoted you to a moderator status on the channel. So just in case I don't catch one of those bombs, if you would be so kind, I would appreciate that of you. But yeah, before we really kind of get into final thoughts, Moneybags, what do you have on limit ordering and swapping? What are you feeling about that, man? I mean, that right there was like Arno felt like he was opening up a Christmas gift under the tree. When we talked about that.
I'm excited about that one, man.
No, for sure. And I think one of the main key points that makes me happy is him pointing out that it does make us a competitor against the other exchanges and stuff. And that's the key point, because this is something that we need to be not only competitive as a DeFi space, excuse me, compared to others, but also as a competitive trader, finding the best, possible and cheapest ways to do these trades. So, having that with Shido, obviously this is going to be epic and something that I can't wait to showcase and use on the channel and show people how to use and help navigate through this.
I'm stoked. You're gonna have all of these buy orders now that are people playing the game. Like, people will no longer be doing arbitrage as much in isolated situations. They're going to be doing all of these major plays now within the ecosystem out at large. So it won't just be an isolated composite portions in the ecosystem of our token. And then you extrapolate that to other tokens within our wallet. You're going to be incentivized. I mean, because why go ahead and take your tokens to a situation where the liquidity is not that high and you want to go ahead and take a chance where you can just go ahead and do it in our wallet where you have all the liquidity you can possibly want and you can go ahead and set your buy and sell order at your convenience without the fear of having someone dump on your head and not getting your order filled, because you have infinite liquidity now, because you're swapping now instead of going to a centralized exchange where they may not have enough tokens to facilitate your sell off if you want to do that. So I'm excited for it, that particular aspect.
Yeah, absolutely, bro. That's huge. Yeah, like, and just being able to get the orders to go through, it's a huge, I mean, incentive for especially early investors that are just learning, especially getting this opportunity to do it through crypto and stuff like that, and also to obviously do it through Shido and stuff. And Arnold, it was a pleasure to have you talk with us. I mean, I learned a lot even from you, and it was, I mean, it's good to know how deep this community really goes, and everybody that I meet, it's getting better and better. And that's, like I wrote that one day when I made the first video, great come unity, because it's like the word unity is inside community, and it's when you have that unity with everybody, all cylinders firing together, you have your mods, your admins. Excuse me. Shout out to the mods and admins if you guys watch this video, the ones inside Telegram to help us keep the community safe. I just want to say shout out to you guys that probably help out on Twitter, that are retweeting everything that happens with Shido. We see these retweets and stuff like that. And that's that unity right there, that camaraderie that we have in the community. So yeah, I love that, man. I really do. Thank you for all this.
Yeah,
no, man.
Go
ahead, Arda.
Great you too, man. It was great talking with you this evening as well.
Yeah, I just wanted to say it's a pleasure to have both you gentlemen on the live. Me and Arno kind of came together, and we really made the decision that we were going to do this show for the community, because first it puts a couple familiar faces out there for the community to rally and get to know who they are. Continue to talk about the message, the plan, the execution, and where the project's going. I'm excited to add you to that list, man, because your knowledge, your wealth of knowledge you bring, it is incredible. I love the TA. I love just the relaxed vibe you bring to the channel. So thank you for that. I do want to go ahead and kind of go closing thoughts though, because we're going a little over an hour, and I want to respect everyone's time. So, Moneybags, I want to start with you. Any closing thoughts you have for tonight with the community? Things you'd like to bring to their attention? This is your time, man. You got the mic, brother.
Absolutely, and thank you for that. And I'm sure most of the community's already tapped in with me. I felt the presence of the community on my video, so I am sure I don't have to tell them to like and subscribe on my channel. I felt it, and I just want to let them know mainly the access that they have to me, and because I want to be also a part of the community. I already am, and I'm going to state that again, and just kind of allow them to know that the access that they have to my channel. And if there's something that I might miss going on with Shido, or something that they think that I should mention about Shido in my channel, don't feel like this channel is too big not to listen to anybody, not to take some insights where we can take Shido to the next level together and add to that unity as a community, So I just want to say thank you, and any ideas and things that we can come together on, you guys can always ask. And even if we're not doing a live stream, this community can always ask me and find me and ask me anything they need to. Just know that the access is there. Use the Batman line, I like to say, and I'll pick up the phone. If it rings, I'll pick it up.
Right on, man. Right on. Arda, you're up, brother. Closing thoughts. What do you got for me?
I'm going to go straight technical with this from a social aspect. I appreciate this entire community, but I think going forward at this particular phase, it's vital that we, in every single tweet, every single message, every single shout out, you include the Shido-Finance website, you include a link to the wallet, and you include when it goes live. I want everybody to start sharing the heck out of Bjorn's AMA on Binance. Everybody in our community should share those three things: the Shido wallet, the Shido-Finance website, share a link to the wallet to download it. Just put a message in, try our wallet out, take it out, give it a spin, see if you like it, and then put the AMA out there in the message. I think if we get everybody doing that, it'll have a huge impact, because those will be utilitarian factors that you'll have out there that people can see behind all the enthusiastic messages that we leave on Twitter. It's time that we start upping the game on that. I mean, I see a lot of messages on Twitter that are really rah. That's cool, but it's time to start getting the meat on the. So we got to get the website out there. We got to get links to the wallet out there. And when Bjorn goes live with his AMA on Binance, we got to share the heck out of it. So other than that,
man.
I'm loving it, and onward upward from here.
Hey, great words of wisdom, man, right there. And I want to echo on that too. Is it is super important to get the website attached to every single tweet. Whether if you're on Instagram, you're on Twitter, you're throwing on the Facebook page, whatever you're doing. I really apologize for Telegram. I don't know if you guys can hear the beeps or not, but want to make sure that we get that out there in every statement, right? Because it's so important when you're tagging an influencer that's got, let's say, 90,000, 400,000 followers, and you're telling them, look at Shido. Don't just give them a picture of our DeFi wallet or a comment that's bullish, but give them something to actually go look at, right? They can click this website. And I will tell you, this redesign, next Tuesday, I'd like to have everybody back on next Tuesday. Rico, you're more than welcome if you can make it. I'd love to have you back. And I want to spend at least a half hour talking about Bitcoin, that 6-day cross, what it may mean for a potential bull run. But I really wanted to spend some time going in depth and really just touring every aspect of this redesigned website so that people truly understand why this is so important to share. Because I think if our community spends the time to deep dive it and really understands what is there, the knowledge that is in front of you, we're going to be able to take that and then exponentially push that on every platform, like Arno said, because it is super, super important to make sure that our community understands the wealth of knowledge.
We want to stoke emotions while feeding their intellect. That's what we should do with our.
Absolutely. Stoke the emotions and feed the intellect. Well, guys, with that, I want to thank everyone for joining tonight. Please do me a favor, hit the subscribe and the like button. Leave a bullish comment, as Moneybags Rico stated. Before we do get out of here, though, we are going to hit his YouTube channel. I need everybody to do me a favor right now and get over here and subscribe to Moneybags, because this guy is doing some amazing stuff for the community, and we need to support that in every aspect. So, guys, I'm going to go ahead and pop this up full. I need everyone to head on over to this YouTube channel, click that subscribe button, hit that bell. Subscribe to this man right here. This guy knows what he's talking about. He covers multiple projects, but he is covering Shido, and he is a part of this community. We need to make sure that we rally around that. We protect our influencers, especially those that are doing vital technical analysis that otherwise you guys might not have. So, yeah, I'm super excited. It was a great episode. Thank you guys for being on. Looks like Arno already peaced out. Moneybags, I appreciate you being here. And I look forward to everybody popping back on next Tuesday. So we're going to sign off here. You guys have a wonderful night. Enjoy your evening. We'll talk to everybody soon.